I opened it. It was a voice recording. I loved you. I still do. But I didn't know how to be the man you deserved. I wanted to prove I was better than him. But I never was. He left you at the altar. I just walked you down a longer one. It was James, his voice, calm, remorseful, almost rehearsed. If this hurts, I'm sorry. If this helps, I'm not. The file ended. I listened to it 3 times, not because it moved me, but because it didn't. I responded with a single sentence. You were never my revenge. You were just a longer mistake. I blocked the address, deleted the file, and exhaled. Later that month, I saw Marcus on a gossip blog. Tech bro ties the knot with PR exec in lavish Cotswolds wedding. There was a photo, him in a tuxedo standing next to a woman whose smile didn't reach her eyes. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I wrote something in my notebook. Men like that don't change. They just swap mirrors. In December, I started writing again. Not emails, not journals, stories, twisted ones, about liars and ghosts and brides who vanished on purpose. One story about a woman who fakes her own wedding to lure out the 2 men who betrayed her got picked up by a small online magazine. They wanted to pay me £150. I said yes, and I cried harder at that acceptance email than I did when Marcus left me standing in white. By spring, I had a following. Nothing huge, but enough. People left comments like, "Your writing feels like a knife wrapped in silk." I've never read rage written so quietly. How do you know exactly how it feels to be left behind? I didn't reply to any of them, but I kept writing. Every week, a new story. And with each one, I bled out a little more of them until there was almost none of me left in the past. Then, on a rainy Sunday morning, I got a message through the magazine's anonymous inbox. Subject, was that story about us? No name, just a line of text. Because if it was, you got the ending wrong. I stared at the screen. Not angry, not scared, just curious. And I wrote back, "Number I got the ending I wanted. You're the one who's still reading." The message stayed with me. You got the ending wrong. It wasn't signed, but it didn't need to be. I'd spent enough time in their shadows to know the tone. Marcus was all ego. James was all calculation. This was neither. This was something else. A few days later, I got a letter. Actual post. No return address. Inside, a printout of one of my stories. The one about the fake wedding trap. In red pen, someone had written, "She never really escaped. She just built a better prison." No name, no context. But at the bottom, in handwriting I hadn't seen before, was a phone number. I sat with it for 2 days. Didn't Google it, didn't text. Instead, I took a long walk in the rain and asked myself a question. What if this isn't from them? What if it's from someone watching them? Curiosity won. I bought a cheap burner phone from a corner shop and sent one message. Who is this? The reply came in 10 minutes. Someone who was supposed to marry Marcus before you. Her name was Leah. She said she'd been engaged to Marcus 2 years before I met him. Said he left her too, just never told his family. Said he moved cities and started over like she never existed. I saw your photo in a wedding article and recognized the same ring he gave me. I just needed to know if I was crazy. I told her she wasn't, and then we talked for hours. Leah filled in the parts I hadn't known. The games Marcus played, the charm, the slow unraveling, the way he positioned women like chess pieces, until we forgot we were even playing. But what chilled me most was this. He told me about James, said his brother was the cleanup crew, that whenever Marcus broke something, James would quietly sweep it up. Made him feel powerful. Suddenly, everything aligned. James hadn't been different from Marcus. He had been trained by him, a lifetime of learning how to soften destruction, how to become the rescuer, how to wear decency like a disguise. And I had walked straight into it. I asked Leah if she ever got closure. No, she said, but I did get revenge. How? I told the next woman. So she had found me, and now I was the next link in that chain. That night, I wrote my longest story yet. It wasn't about me, not directly, but it was about two brothers. One who burned everything, and one who swept up the ashes and sold them back to you as safety. At the end, the woman walks away. Not in flames, not in tears, just whole. The story went viral. Tens of thousands of shares. Readers begged for a sequel. Others begged for names. I gave them neither. A week later, I got a package. Inside, my old wedding veil. The one I never wore. The one Marcus's mother said made me look too sharp. And a note in James' handwriting. This was never about him. You were always the sharp one. No return address, just the veil. I burned it, not out of anger, but because I didn't need it anymore. I'd buried both of them with words. They both taught me something. Marcus showed me what absence feels like. James taught me what betrayal looks like when it wears patience like perfume. And somewhere in that fire, I found something I wasn't even looking for. Myself. I didn't just survive them, I studied them. And once you study a ghost long enough, it loses its power to haunt. I stopped writing about men like them, stopped feeding them oxygen with every metaphor. Instead, I wrote about women who saw everything, women who smiled during storms, who walked away without slamming doors, just vanished so thoroughly the silence felt like a scream. The magazine offered me a column, monthly essays, real money. I accepted, under a pseudonym, not because I feared them, but because I wanted to build something that didn't trace back to them, something clean. One morning, I walked past a wedding, big church, white flowers, cameras. I didn't flinch, didn't pause. But a little girl outside the gates tugged her mother's sleeve and whispered, "Why is she wearing all white? What if she's bad?" The mother laughed it off, but I didn't. 'Cause I knew the answer. You can wear white and still leave people in ruins. Later that month, I got one final message. Anonymous, no greeting, just this. You win. I hope it was worth it. I didn't know if it was from Marcus or James. Didn't care. I replied, it wasn't about winning. It was about walking off the board. Blocked, deleted, done. I moved again. Not to run, just to restart. Different city, different view. No ghosts, no mirrors. Just quiet mornings and stories that belong to me. Sometimes I'm asked if I'd ever marry again. I say, I already did. Once to a man who vanished, once to a man who manipulated, and once, unofficially, to myself. Because this time, I show up. This time, I don't abandon myself at the altar. The end wasn't the betrayal. It wasn't the wedding. It wasn't even the revenge. The end was when I stopped needing to be understood by men who only knew how to break things. And the beginning, that's everything I've written since. 'Cause sometimes survival looks like silence, and sometimes it looks like a woman holding the pen.